jungle in here. So the cucumbers have done really well. They've gone up and started to go along here. So I guess they're about 8 foot now. And then the tomatoes are all along this side and the second half of this side. Nothing is ripe yet, tomato wise, but we've just got hundreds, literally hundreds of tomatoes here. Now, there will become a point where I really need to stop them growing and producing more, because the last thing I want is, you know, 1,000 green tomatoes. But saying that, they're still looking healthy, the plants are still growing at a good rate, and we're still end of July, so I'm hoping that we haven't kind of missed the ball there, and we're gonna keep them going maybe for another week or so, and I can always just thin out the trusses if I have to. The cucumbers started out really well. When they were about, I guess, 4 or 5 feet tall, they started producing their first fruit. Now those are kind of stalled for a bit, so actually there's a big one here, probably a bit too big. So, you know, there's your classic cucumber. The nice thing is they're not, some of the cucumbers I remember coming out of people's greenhouses were those spiky ones or odd shapes or odd tastes, whereas these are obviously better, but they are like your typical shop cucumber, in that they're pretty smooth, decent length and decent size. So, you know, we've saved ourselves loads, and the girls walk around with one of these each, eating them like ice creams. But what happened is, about halfway through, when we'd had about 5 of these off each plant, the ones above them started kind of shriveling up, which there's a few on here still, and I've started cutting them off because I figured there's no point in leaving them on. You see they've just kind of shriveled. Now I think they were getting plenty of water, perhaps not enough feed, so I've upped that, and I don't know, maybe the lower ones were just taking away a bit too much energy from the plant. Hopefully these ones up the top seem to be a little bit better. They're already a few inches long, so I don't know. If anyone's got any cucumber advice, give me a shout. But you know, we're doing what we can here, and while they've only got 30-litre bucket of compost at the bottom, I would imagine that should be enough to support them, but we'll keep kind of giving them a decent amount of feed, and hopefully we can get a longer season out of these. So with the tomatoes, I've gone along all of the plants and I've taken off every single leaf branch up to the first truss, so that's why they're pretty bare down the bottom here, but that kind of opens up a bit more light into the bottom, gets a bit more ventilation through. But also I've planted some basil in the buckets at the bottom. Whether that'll work I don't know, but it's certainly come up as young seedlings now, so I'm hoping that extra bit of light and spare soil, kind of growing space, will make the most of that down there. Like I was saying, I went really heavy on cherry tomato varieties, so we had the 3 varieties. I think next time I'll probably need to go 50-50, because, you know, if we're making tomato sauces and things like that to last us through the whole year, it makes sense to use bigger cropping varieties. But we've got loads of cherry tomatoes on. All these trusses are just heaving, so providing they ripen, we should be okay. When they ripen, I won't know what variety they are, because the labels all disappeared. We had the black opal, the kind of golden, and the normal Gardener's Delight, I think they were. But you know, look at that. That's I guess a single truss which is split, but there's just absolutely loads on there. So whatever variety that is looks to be a keeper. 4 on this side all look to be the Alicante, which are the bigger, more traditional size fruit, and they're already getting to a fairly decent size, but they should bulk out over the next few weeks. 2, 3, 4, 5. We're on 6 trusses on these plants, so hopefully they can support that. And then right down here in the middle were some store-bought chili and pepper plants. They were something like 40p each, so I've thrown them in there. They are yellow and a bit late in the season, but hopefully these will kind of shoot up and get something off them. I mean, there's a fair bit on them already. Some of them are green. Green peppers, some normal red bell peppers, or supposedly red. And then these guys are, I think, some red Thai chilies. But anyway, next year we'll go a little bit further in here. We'll do some aubergines and peppers. But I love coming in here. Polytunnels, greenhouses are just happy places to be. You know, everything smells nice. It's never wet. It's always warmer than outside, and you just seem to be a little bit more in control than when you're growing outside. Not to say that our tomatoes outside and salad crops and stuff aren't doing well, but in here you can kind of just feel like you're a little bit on top of it, and kind of really producing some crops. So I'm really excited to see what we can do with this polytunnel out of tomato season. We might not go so full on with tomatoes next time. It'd be good to have a bench along here where we could just grow loads of other veg, salad crops, get really kind of on top of that whole successional planting where we can have a constant supply of different veg and fruit throughout the year, and we're not relying on just kind of one planting, one harvesting. So I think by having the polytunnel in there that we can start, well, we can keep seeding throughout the summer months, it should be good. We can also plant our autumn crops and make the most of the warmer growing space for the kind of winter. But I'm still not quite sure what we're going to do with the polytunnel over the winter. You know, lettuces they're great, but there's got to be something better that we can do in here. So if anyone's got any advice for a small polytunnel, but something, you know, what we can grow in here that will give us a crop of some sort over the winter months, that would be good. But remember, we are above ground planting, so we're using those 30-litre planters or trays. We're not going to be planting in ground because this is a movable polytunnel. One more thing I've noticed with the cherry varieties is that sometimes I've got a truss, and then from the end of the truss a whole new plant starts. So I don't know if that's normal or whether we just got some freaky tomatoes here, but quite often I'm having to cut off whole new growth stems from the end of trusses because obviously that's not where we want the plant to be going. I don't know if I've got any here to show you. Let's have a look. I guess this is along the same lines. This is an early one, so I've got a truss of some sort there, and then from the end of it there's a leaf, and some of the plants that's gone off another couple of feet and become a whole new plant. So I'm cutting those off. I assume that's right. Anyone got any tips? That'd be handy. But one other thing I think I've seemed to have adopted is tomato therapy. I come, being working at home, you know, sometimes you just need to get out of the office, and I'm able to just come down here, check on the tomatoes, and it's just a case of giving them a twist, or, you know, pinching out where needed, because every time you come down you always miss something when you I can see loads now, and I did these yesterday. So just pinching out those suckers to keep things growing nicely, and somehow that just seems to clear the air, get back in, start work again. Right, sorry, waved my cucumber at you. Let's head down the bottom of the garden. I'll show you what's going on down there.